Hey there, so here's the second part of a video in which I discuss the use of fountain pens, and in this part I would like to debunk some myths that surround the use of fountain pens. And if you use fountain pens, you'll be confronted with these myths at some point or another. Just, if you haven't been confronted with them, just wait and see. So, the first myth I think is fountain pens are expensive. Well, no. Not necessarily. Yes, there are fountain pens that'll set you back $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. But usually those are limited editions, and limited editions are, no matter what it is of, a limited edition is always more expensive than regular edition, right? There are also some brands that actually make cheap pens. This is a Noodler's pen. This cost $14. That's 1 and then a 4. Not 4T, but $14. That's it. It looks nice. It writes well. That's not expensive. This is a Kaweco Sport. I think that's about, I bought it in the Netherlands, so it's euros, but let's say about $20, something like that, I suppose. That's not that expensive. This is a solid gold pen. Clearly, that's not going to cost you $14, and that's more expensive. But is it? Is it better? Are expensive cars better than cheap cars? Well, they're different, that's for sure. And it's a matter of preference. How much you're willing to spend, and what do you consider to be expensive, what do you consider to be cheap. But the only thing I'm trying to point out here is that a fountain pen does not need to be expensive. $14 writes very well. I really have no complaints about this pen. So, it doesn't have to be expensive. And that's all. A fountain pen will require skill to use. No. Why should it? It's just a pen. Yes, you will need to learn certain things. This is a piston filler, which means you don't put in a cartridge, you sort of pull this, and then you twist this, and then a little plunger goes up and down, and you would use this with bottled ink. Yes, clearly you'll have to learn how to do that. You will have to learn how to use a converter if you want to use a converter. Yeah, that's a little bit of skill, but come on, that's maybe 5 minutes of work, and that's it. So you really don't need to have a degree in engineering or something to be able to use a fountain pen. That would be ridiculous. It's just a pen. Yes, it will be a little different from using a ballpoint pen if you're really used to that. You may require a little less pressure, you need to hold the pen in a specific way. All of that you will find out. That's really, really not an issue. So forget about that. Another one I like a lot is a fountain pen will improve your handwriting. Well, I wish that were true, but it isn't. A fountain pen is just a tool. Handwriting is a skill. Yes, if you have a very good tool, it'll make the job easier, right? If you have a really good hammer, a really good screwdriver, putting in nails or screws in a piece of wood will be easier than if you have really cheap stuff. But even so, I know one person who had a beautiful handwriting, and she always wrote with ballpoint pens and never with fountain pens. As I said, it's just a tool, and if you think that buying an expensive fountain pen is going to improve your handwriting, you're wrong. The quality of your handwriting is not a function of the price of the pen you use to write with. The quality of your handwriting is a function of the time spent in practice. If you practice your handwriting, it will improve, and if you have a good fountain pen, it may be a little easier to practice and develop nice handwriting, but getting an expensive pen will never ever improve your handwriting all by itself. Only your practice will. Fountain pens will leak. That's one I hear a lot. But don't they leak? They always, you get ink on your fingers and blah 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 blah. No, fountain pen doesn't leak. If a fountain pen leaks, then it's broken. It needs to be repaired. What can happen, this pen is a little apt to do that, is that you get a little bit of ink in the cap. And then when you open it, there'll be a little bit of ink in the grip section. Then you hold it, and you'll get the ink in your fingers. But then the pen isn't leaking. Usually it's a matter of, you put on the cap, it clicks in place, a little drop of ink flies off there, gets into the cap, or maybe you've been a little rough with it, you shook it around a little bit, some ink got on there, whatever. But then the pen isn't leaking, it's just, something that happens. Just carry a little piece of cloth. I mean, I know that when I write with this pen, when I open it, I just have to wipe it a little here, and then I can write. Is that an issue? It isn't an issue for me. Maybe it would be an issue for you. Well, that's fine. I mean, not every pen does that. This is a pretty old one. It's a little bit more prone to do that sort of thing. But if you buy an all-new fountain pen like this, you will not get any ink on your fingers, most likely, unless you use it in the incorrect way. If you filled this in bottled ink, and you haven't wiped this part, the grip section and the nib off a little bit with a cloth, and just close it, and then you open it again, and then ink will be all over the grip section, and you hold it, and then you get ink on your fingers. But then the pen isn't leaking, you just did something wrong. And yes, I do have ink on my fingers quite a lot, but that's because I fill my pens, and I use bottled ink, and it's almost impossible not to get ink on your fingers. But that's fine too. And again, that does not mean your pen is leaking. It's just a side effect of using bottled ink. Another myth is that a fountain pen will adapt to your handwriting. Well, actually, as far as I know, that is not really a myth. That's really true. So if you have a specific pen, you will hold it in your way, and you will write with it. You will angle the nib in a specific way. Maybe you write like this, maybe you write like that, maybe you write like this. Well, that's a bit odd. Maybe you write like this, maybe you write more like that. Whatever. Somehow the pen will adapt a little bit to that. Now, I'm not absolutely sure how it works, but it is my experience that indeed, if I write with this pen a lot, and then I give it to someone else, and they write with it, generally speaking, the first few strokes they make will not work. There will be no ink flowing from the pen. It adapted to my hand. Is that an issue? Why would it be an issue? It's your pen. Unless you're a communist and you want to share all your pens with everyone, then you may have a problem with fountain pens. But if you're not, no problem. So that's actually true, and I don't think that's a myth. So, it's your pen. You get it to write with. If you share it with others, then it may be a little bit of a problem. Will it be a big problem? No, I don't think so, because, I mean, come on, it won't adapt immediately to someone else's hand if they write one or two words with it, right? It's a process that takes time, so that's not really an issue either.
Thank you, you're fantastic, thank you very much.
And that's pretty much all the myths I could think of. And as far as I'm concerned, they've been debunked pretty much all of them, except the one that the pen will actually adapt to your handwriting. And that's it. So in these two videos I've tried to convey my enthusiasm for fountain pens. I've tried to explain why I like using them. That may be of interest to people, I don't know. If you don't think it's interesting, too bad. If you do like it, fine. Just, add your comments. I'd love to hear from you. And that's it. See you later.